January 23rd, 2016. Hi. The last video that I made was pretty intense, pretty rough. As difficult as it was, I was kind of surprised on the therapeutic effect that I had. I had seen the video probably like 10 times or something. I apparently am very narcissistic, that I could endure. I mean, that it was almost like an hour and 45 minutes, and I've seen it at least that many times. But stepping back from it, almost trying to see the entire picture through the eyes of someone else, or like if the story was of someone else. Whew. So it's kind of sad. But I will say this. I do like who I am. And I also realize that a lot of who I am is because of the challenges that I've had along the way. I wish I wasn't as cynical as I can get, or as misanthropic as I am, but I have a future. That's what the theme of this vlog is, about what my reason is for going on through life. Growing up as and I don't want to say just as a Jehovah's Witness, because they're not the only ones who believe that the end of the world is coming by soon. If it would have been like another Christian religion, there's a lot of Christian religions that believe that the Jesus rapture will happen in their lifetime. So the point is, I was raised to have with an explanation of what the purpose of life was. Okay, and it didn't resonate with me, even as a kid. Enough that I was manic depressed and very, very suicidal. Like, not that I actually attempted to commit suicide, but man, it was something that was on my mind like almost every day. And a big part of it was that the picture that they had for what it would look like for a happy ever after. Like, let's say if everything worked out exactly the way everyone wants it to work out. Like all the bad guys are gone and all the good guys are left over, and general peace and happiness. See? And I really didn't want to live in a world like that. I couldn't see myself being happy there. And even though I wasn't necessarily like happy in a world where you have this mixed diversity of like good and bad experiences, good and bad people, because that's where life is now. It's a mixture of ugliness and beauty. It's the human condition. So I didn't want to be in a world where everything was just perfect. And there was no, I don't know, I didn't have purpose. So the only purpose that I had was the service to God. I had often an analogy that I would say a spoon could be used for a lot of different things, but unless it's being used as a spoon, it's not truly living to its fulfillment, because that's what it was made for. It'll always be, not quite right if you try to use it as a shovel, or you try to use it as like something to dip ink in so you could write in, or maybe even a doorstop. It's never going to be as fulfilled in what it's for, or unless it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. And I figured humans were designed to worship God, defend Him, and kind of like be an extension of His, better qualities, love and caring, and noble. Okay, noble. But it just didn't resonate with me. Now, during the time that I was married was the only time that I actually didn't think about suicide anymore. But up until that point, it was almost a daily struggle. So much to the point that I am pretty sure that it's chemical. Like, even if I was having in the circumstances around me, something positive, I still wasn't really happy. It was like there was times where I was sad and down when there was no reason to be sad or down. Everything around me in my life was doing. It wasn't circumstantial. I would sometimes make things worse because I would try to look at something in my life to try to attach the sad feelings to, and think, well, I'm sad, so maybe it's because it's this, and I had to kind of guess at it because there wasn't any connection, and I didn't know that it could be something chemical. I used to think that it was something that it was bothering me on a subconscious level, and then my conscious mind just said, it doesn't bother me, but I'm depressed, so maybe it does bother me. So my childhood wasn't very pleasant. Now, what I think might have been the case, and I don't know if this is accurate or not, it might have had been the fact that I, growing up, wanted my stepfather's approval, and I didn't know that he was my stepfather, and it didn't work out. He wasn't that type of individual that could love someone that's not theirs, and some people just aren't. But I didn't know that, and there was a lot of resentment and confusion on my part growing up. But after he had told me, I really honestly felt like I had forgiven him. Like, I get it, I understand now, and I didn't expect anything from him anymore. We had more of a landlord-tenant relationship, and that I just wasn't paying rent, but it was like that. We had at least some kind of level of respect towards each other. I never asked him for anything anymore. Like, never asked him for hugs, never asked to hang out with him. I realized that it was just him and my two younger stepbrothers. But even after that, I would have these, like long bouts of heavy depression, and I'm thinking maybe it's that's bothering me. And I didn't feel like it was anymore because I felt like, okay, I'm moving on. So even now and today, I have moments of depression where it's not necessarily tied to something circumstantial. I'm just down. not as much as before. And the reason is because of that whole purpose of life. And about at the age of 30, about 6 years ago, was when I, for the first time ever, try to find a new answer to the purpose of why am I still here? Why am I still trying, to live life? And during the transition between my life as a theist, believing in God, and into my life as being an atheist, that little period of time was the closest I've ever been to death. Because I had to be hospitalized. That would have been probably it. And it was. It's not that I was disappointed in the story and the what they had before, as far as like God and the devil and the vindication of good over evil, and in my role in that war that was happening. To go from that to just kind of having this realization that you're just an animal, like anything else, like everything else, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. We're not less special that we're animals too, like dogs and cows and monkeys and fish and trees and everything that's alive. There's nothing wrong with being part of this living, amazing phenomena that we're looking at this planet. It's almost, we have a big family. If we really truly believe that our other animals that are around us are our siblings. But nonetheless, it's kind of a demotion when you think that maybe you have a potential of living forever, your soul being all, internal, and thinking that death won't actually affect you the same way that it affects everything else that dies. Like somehow you had like an exception card, like you were gonna, that's what it is. And the idea of just like going from that to just being like, you know what, not only are you not going to go on forever, but there's no big omnipotent all-knowing being that loves you and cares about you and just earnestly wants you to be with him and to serve him. I mean, it's psychologically is very comforting through very difficult times. You kind of have this like catch-all, worry-all safety net to fall back on and be like, worst case scenario, things are still going to be okay because I trust in God. And to go from that to kind of be like, we're all on our own, we're all struggling, we're all trying to figure out what to do with our lives and how to be happy and everything. It was hard to come to that realization for me. So I remember the day that I stopped, really stopped wanting to commit suicide. Like, and I bring this up because this has been like the only time that I ever had respite of that feeling was during the time that I was married. I didn't think about that during then. But every time before then and ever since afterwards, when I was trying to figure out what I was trying to do with life, it was pretty rough. I saw a documentary, Ray Kurzweil's documentary of the Singularity, and the general idea about that movie is that there's going to be a point where technology is advanced enough that maybe dying is optional. And there's so many different ways you can approach it, whether we're replacing organs, whether we're putting our minds backed up into computers, whether it's gene therapy. It's not necessarily on the top list of concerns of where the money goes on this planet, because all these humans on this planet, all this money, the majority of the money is being going towards safety and resources, because we still don't around the world, and resources. Not as much you would think of like trying to find a shortcut around life, and I think the reason around death, and I think the reason is because the majority of people don't think it's possible. But already in 2016, humans are living abnormally long. A lot of times people look around them and they see all these old people and they think that that's just the way it's always been. Or, I mean, if they don't really kind of take a look at the average lifespan of people and see how it's expanding and how it continues to expand every few years, it's math. The only argument against something like that being true is that there's this divine alternate purpose. Like, it doesn't matter what humans invent. If there's a divine purpose, then we're just kids playing with toys. We're not really affecting the overall story of our species, because it's kind of already spoken for as far as like how it's going to play out. But if we really do have that, if we take ownership of that and we're like, okay, whatever we do, we actually have the potential of either extinction of our own species, because we don't have this invisible safety net of security. We now know that, hey, we have the capacity to screw things up because it's just us. Versus this whole, we can, worst case scenario, we can pray and things won't get that bad. Like, God's not going to etch a sketch the world, So, I understand the improbability that I will be old enough to be able to maybe catch that. Because although it's inevitable that it will happen, it's not at all necessarily entirely clear that it'll happen before I die physically. I'm not exactly taking care of myself very well now, health-wise. I'm hoping maybe, I get a better job and I put it all into my health. I don't have much of other things going on in my life that can distract me from that. So I have options. In any case, so why would that change? It's okay. So it's not just a matter of the idea of not dying, because that was comforting. And if I did, it's also expected. Like, I've come to terms with death in that sense. It's just happens to everybody. Okay. But I want to see the technology blowing up, sci-fi, because I feel very privileged of being alive right now. I don't know. It's very possible that their technology might get to a point where it starts a chain effect and produces a very dystopian future. It's that, and that dystopian future through technology has been envisioned so many different ways. Whether it's war, whether it's pollution, whether it's crash of the economy, whether it's disease. It's amazing on how many different ways potentially there can be a dystopian future. And we've seen in history, if someone studies history, on how quickly sometimes a certain standard of living can be, and how there can be a quick change. I mean, 9/11 was nothing compared to how, World War II was to people. Yeah, there's a great capacity of having everything that we are comfortable and know now to not be that way. And maybe we even pass that on to the next generation. There's been several occasions that in history where the system collapses and it takes generations to kind of build the sand castle or house of cards up all over again. And believe me, we have built a house of cards. Oh man, and we love it. We love the intricacy and how everything's connected, but the more and more we depend on these technologies, the more and more it's susceptible of us having, major problems. I mean, at least right now, if the internet goes down, my refrigerator still works. Who knows how things might be really weird in the future, But I want to see robots. I want to see VR. I want to be alive to see all these wondrous, amazing, borderline magical inventions. I forgot who had said the quote about any technology not sufficiently understood is indistinguishable from magic. And we live in a Harry Potter world. This phone, I can tell someone words like GPS and sending signals, but that's not any different than I can say, hey, this is the Force, and there's like midichlorians inside of this, and it's doing, magically beaming my voice or something. For the average person, you just interchange the words, but they have to buy it. They're like, okay, I guess that's how it works. But it's magic. So I love it. I love it all. It's given me new purpose in life. I mean, sure, I still have very shitty days sometimes. But sometimes I'll be sitting down and I'll do like that kind of check and be, would I kill myself right now if I had a gun? And that was something that I used to always tell myself before, even in like very happy moments. We could have been going out to Worlds of Fun and hanging out with friends and just having a jam, and I can ask myself that question. I'm like, yeah, I would totally die right now if given if I had enough courage, I guess. But I've said no for the last few years to that question. I would have a really shitty day, and I would think about it, and I would go, maybe not. Which for me, that might seem kind of depressing, but I assure you, that is a huge step up. A huge step up to how it used to be growing up for me. Now, at the very, very least, I kind of want to make sure that I'm around to see things, and I do. And I have to remind myself that when things don't work out between me and Kryptonite, because there are times where she steals my reason for going on forward. And it takes a while for me to lick my wounds. But after seeing the previous video that I made over and over, I realized that it's probably, maybe it wouldn't be a bad thing if things didn't work out. I'm gonna be okay. That's the reason for this video, is for me to make a reminder of going on forward and having purpose. And I hope that in the future, if I'm heartbroken, I'll look back at this video and try to remind myself that there are other things in life that I really, really, really want to see and experience. And it's worth the pain, worth the suffering, worth the heartache, the loneliness. Because right now, this is like the best time to be alive. It's possible that we're on a very delicate soap bubble that's about to burst. But right before it does, we are basically experiencing the wealth and comfort and technological benefits that no king has ever been able to enjoy better than us. The food, we're getting fat. If you can get someone to the ER, the emergency room, they can, and as long as they're in some kind of almost living condition at the time that they get there, modern science is amazing on what they can do to keep someone alive, and to keep on going. Now we go in patched up. It's just amazing. I saw someone posted a video of this operation that someone did, and it was just, they had these kind of snake-like tubes that they make a small little tiny incision, and they have little cameras, and they're going inside and they're making the surgery through these little, it's amazing, absolutely magical. I mean, any time before that, how humans just, we're amazing. All the things that we figured out everywhere, physics and medicine and just time, and it's just amazing. And it's getting more every year. We're upping ourselves, and like space travel I might actually see not just being able to go to space, but it actually being like us available. Our influence is spreading. It's an amazing time to be alive right now. And maybe you have to do it alone. But that's how adventures are sometimes. To adventure.